Thank everybody for showing up today. Really appreciate the support. We've got some good things to go over. So really the purpose of the presentation is to have a look at the news release that we put out on Thursday, the results from our fall drilling campaign. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, and let's get going on the presentation here. There's our forward-looking statement available to review on the website. Very good reading if you're an insomniac and you need to get to sleep. As the company has stated several times, I'm going to just restate this here. Our short-term goal is to delineate a minimum 1 billion pounds contained copper. And then the rest of the presentation, hopefully I'll be able to relay to you folks how we intend to do that in the coming programs. The project, of course, is very well placed. For those new to the company, if anybody on the call is new, we're located central Yukon, right within 20 kilometers of paved highway and grid power, and that access has road access right into the middle of the project, and we do not have to cross the Yukon River by barge. We cross the Yukon River by bridge. So, of course, the Carmax deposit itself, just under 24 million tons measured and indicated, 0.85% copper with 446 million pounds contained copper. So if we look at our metric, our short-term goal for that billion-pound metric, we're almost halfway there. And we think we can get to that billion pounds relatively quickly. So we announced drilling results from the Carmax deposit, as well as the Carmax North Zone A. We think that we've got lots of potential to grow resources really in two main areas. And the northern part of the land package and the Carmax North, we've got multiple zones that we've developed from historic work, including drilling done in the 1980s. So that's primarily Zone A. We plan to drill there again this year. And then we've got other less developed targets, Zones B and C, that we'll need to do a little bit more work before we can drill. Plans for IP surveys and some trenching in some areas as well. And then at Carmax itself, we really see a significant potential in the underlying sulfide resource in all the zones. Zone 1 through 7 have a fairly significant oxide resource overlying the sulfide, but the underlying sulfide has really not been the focus of previous operators. And then zones 12 and 13 are primarily sulfide zones. There is some oxide there, but it's mostly sulfide. So we'll just have a brief look here at the Zone A. We modeled the historic work that had been done by previous operators, and we're able to come up with an area of known mineralization outlined in purple. And one of the things we strongly felt was that the orientation of the higher grade portion of the mineralization was somewhat different than what previous operators had envisioned. So we're using modern modeling techniques that weren't available or were very expensive in the 1980s. Using those techniques, we were able to really get a sense of which way the direction where we thought the mineralization was going. So the 3 holes that we did drill seem to support our theory. Now, 3 holes isn't enough for total confirmation, but it does give us a little bit better idea of where to target in the upcoming drill program. So this year we'll be back at Zone A. We'll be offsetting the good results that we had and offsetting some of the historic results, and seeing if we can further define these high grade zones and extend them and see if we can find any more that may be parallel to ones that we already found. Here's a couple pictures of the core that we received from Zone A. We got some real nice azurite and malachite in the core, and then this was from hole 3, where we intercepted 25 meters of 0.97% copper. So oxide copper in the top. We were hitting sulfide beneath that as well. So we know again that we got both oxide and sulfide copper. We think we have the potential to be able to add resources to the oxide portion of the Carmax deposit. The Zone A is within 10 kilometers of the main Carmax deposit. So yeah, some limited access at the end of the drill bit, and we'll be able to add resources both in oxide and sulfide. So now we're going to transition down to the southern part of the claim block and the Carmax deposit. This is a typical section through the northern part of the deposit, Zone 1. And you can see that the oxide is quite good grades from the surface all the way down to about anywhere from 200 to 250 meters in transition. But very little drilling has been done in the sulfide portion. So we actually drilled in the southern part of the deposit at Zone 13 on section BB at the bottom of the deposit there. And just, yeah, I zoom in on a little bit more on that. One of the reasons we targeted this zone is we felt that we had the potential to quickly grow sulfide resources here. Again, a bit of a proof of concept in the drilling. The idea was to show that there was a much larger body of rock, the mineralized rock in Zone 13 versus Zone 1. And, you know, that again, this is based on work that had been done by previous operators, and we were just following up. So if we look at the section, I mean, we were offsetting long intercepts of mineralization, a little bit lower grade than what we were seeing in the northern part of the deposit. But we think there's potential for a lot more mineralized material here, and possibly looking at a bulk mining scenario that would, you know, we could look at a larger operation. So we intercepted 127 meters of 0.61. Now you will, looking at this, you'll recognize that 127 meters isn't true width. True width is probably 90 to 95 meters, somewhere in there. But that shows that so the purple envelope that we have is well mineralized and is very consistent mineralization. In the second hole that we did drill, we hit a fault. So the mineralization has been faulted off, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. That means that the rest of the mineralization and the extent of the down dip extent of that body may still be present there somewhere. It may have been faulted up or may be faulted along. We don't know we don't know the direction of the fault yet, but we are finding, going through logs from previous drilling, we are finding other faults, and we're starting to be able to piece together some of the structural elements to the mineralization, and we're going to use that to try and figure out where this mineralization has gone. So here's some photos, or the photo of the core in Zone 13, and you can see the net textured nature of the mineralization. This was from the top of the hole. So if you look at that spike right at the top of the hole, I think it spikes almost to 5%. That's when you get that real high grade mineralization, that's what you see. So the mineralization is connected as opposed to disseminated. And this gives us a different geophysic response. And again, we're starting to figure out some of these things, and we will be doing more geophysics on the major zones that we're going to be drilling this year. So looking at the Carmax deposit itself from Zone 2 all the way up to Zone A, we see well-defined oxide mineralization and poorly defined sulfide mineralization with some gaps between the zones that there's still potential to fill in. We know there's faulting between zone 13 and 2000 south. So again, it's trying to figure out where that mineralization has moved to. But we think that there's a potential for continuous mineralization all the way through here, just being offset. So before we drill, we'll be doing geophysics to IP mostly, to try to see if we can figure out where things have moved to. But in the sulfide domain, in all the zones, the existing known sulfide is open at depth and is open primarily to the east, but some of it, there's some zones that we're finding, there's some open areas to the west as well. So this is the historic work that we've had that's helped us define the zones that we're going to be targeting. There's still ongoing work on the mag to help us focus in, and we're doing some work on the geochem as well, doing some analysis of what really truly is anomalous, and how the Carmax deposit itself relates to other zones on the property. Again, a little bit on the geology. We're starting to, our geologists spent a good portion of last summer and into the fall on the property, getting an understanding of the geological controls for mineralization. Minto Mine recently announced some very good results from their drilling program, and it's just goes to show the potential for the belt. I think it's still fairly high, and you know, our goal in that billion pounds, as we mentioned, is to attract a large copper player to the belt. And I think, you know, hopefully that the success that we have in this year's program will further that goal. Yeah, there's a picture of the Minto Mine, currently in operation, 4,000 ton per day capacity. Looking for an upgrade from those guys on what if they're at full capacity. Their reserve grade is 1.7% copper, almost 2% on a copper equivalent basis, and our grade holds up quite well. So there's, you know, there's always potential for further consolidation within the belt. Just wrapping up here before we take some questions. We're really pleased with the continuing investment by both the territorial and federal government into the Yukon, including road upgrades on roads that directly affect our project. So it continues to be an excellent jurisdiction to work, and we're continuing to see interest by majors. So goals for this year is we want to drill between 8,000 and 10,000 meters. We will be launching a financing in the coming weeks to fund that. We expect to receive our uplisting onto the OTCQB very shortly, and we continue to model historic drilling and use that to focus our drill programs. Currently 96 million shares out. We traded a high of 24 cents on Friday, actually a high of 25. So market cap's around 24 million. We got about 750,000 in the bank right now, but like I said, we will be doing a financing to fund an 8,000 to 10,000 meter drill program, and look for an announcement on that shortly. And that's it for me. Ready to take questions.
Timing, when would you be able to get up to site in 2021?
Yeah, we're looking to launch a portion of our program in May. So that would likely be, you know, all depending on COVID protocols and weather, would be starting off with geophysics in May with follow-on drilling as soon as weather makes sense. Yes, it is difficult to plan these days with you know, the various things that are moving things around, but that's kind of what we're targeting right now. Okay,
and another related drill question. Looking forward to the 2021 season, as are we. The breakdown in terms of the meterage Carmax versus Carmax North. Do you have any expectations at this point on that, or is that in development?
It is somewhat in development as we work through some of our modeling exercises. Right now, we're sort of a split of 25% Carmax North, 75% Carmax. But again, that will likely, well, possibly change after we get the geophysics results. The idea is to get in there with an IP survey prior to drilling, and then you know, really focus on resource expansion for the most part, with a small portion to sort of discovery focused.
Oh, okay. Another inbound. What would you hope that the drilling will add to the resource, the 2021 drilling? Is part one of the question.
Yeah, we are designing a program that that if successful, there's, you know, a lot of caveats, would mean a 25 to 50% bump in contained resources. So that's what our target is. That's what our focus is going to be, and we think that the size of the program that we're designing, you know, can deliver that. Again, most of our drilling will be resource expansion drilling. There will be some that will be dedicated to what I consider more of a discovery focus. But really, out of the gate this year, our goal is to grow resources. Thank everybody for attending, and make sure GCX is on your watch list, and look for more events, more news. Thank you all.